All right, well, welcome to week 1 of the Number Sense Challenge. I'm Christina Tonnevold. I'll be facilitating this challenge and providing you each week with a little bit of info about early numeracy, number sense, how we build it for our kiddos, and then giving you a challenge to try in your classroom. If you haven't watched the intro video, there's a video right before this, before the Number Sense Challenge actually began, that I posted a video about me. So if you want to learn more about me, my background, take a look at that video. There's a link on the page that links back to that About Christina information. So check that out. Don't forget also, there is a workbook that goes along with these challenges. So download that workbook so that you could be taking notes, putting in your ideas as you go through the challenges each week. The link for that is also on this page, and you can download that and follow along throughout the videos. So this first week, I first want to give you a little bit of overview, just briefly, about early numeracy. These are things that kids should be coming to you with in kindergarten, but a lot of them are not. So hopefully we can get them kind of caught up in kindergarten, but I often hear some first grade teachers say they don't have these as well. So these are things that really should be worked on in preschool. But if your kiddos don't have them, then we got to go back and be working on these things before we move into more number sense stuff. So these 4 early numeracy concepts come from Clements and Sarama. They've got a lot of research out there, but they also have a wonderful book, kind of researchy as well, but that is a place where you can get more information. But I'll kind of summarize these 4 early numeracy concepts. Number 1 is subitizing. Subitizing, or maybe you say it subitizing, so forgive me, potato, potato. But subitizing is the ability to instantly recognize without having to count. So it's when you hold up 5 fingers and those kids know that it's 5 without having to count that it's 5. The next piece of early numeracy is verbal counting. Just being able to count verbally, not actually count objects, but just count and say the order of numbers in the sequence. So knowing 1 through 10. Like my 2-year-old right now, it's 1, 5, 7, 8. It's not in order. So getting kids to actually count in the correct order and getting them to understand that pattern of counting. That's a piece of early numeracy. Another piece, once they get down the order, is then going into object counting, which is also known as enumeration. So object counting is counting actual objects, counting on for a purpose. So I have a set of blocks and we ask how many, and they have to be able to count. Okay, so some kids, they will count 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 objects. But the next piece of early numeracy is then knowing, once you've counted, that last number you say tells how many. So being able to answer that question, how many, is cardinality. And you'll often get kiddos who, when you ask, how many blocks do I have? They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you say, so how many blocks do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll just recount it. They don't understand that they know how many just because they've counted. So those 4 ideas, subitizing, verbal counting, object counting, and cardinality are what make up early numeracy. And in this first week, we're going to really focus in on subitizing because it is new, I guess, in the realm of education, but it's also a piece that a lot of people don't know about, but it's also the missing piece. We spend a lot of time getting kids to count, and then later, the complaint I hear all the time is, kids won't stop counting on their fingers. They won't stop counting. That's because we spend a lot of time teaching them to count. So subitizing is the way to get them past that counting phase and into being able to chunk apart numbers and be able to work more fluently within mathematics without counting on their fingers. So here's some information about subitizing and your challenge for the week.
So, subitizing is the ability to quickly recognize how many. And so on the screen here, an amount is going to appear for half a second, and we're going to see how well you can tell how many there are. All right, you ready? Watch closely. It's only for a half a second. Here they come. Could you tell how many? My guess is probably most of you, yes. Even though it was for half a second, it was a fairly small amount and somewhat in a familiar pattern. So you probably got that one. But for young kids, that's a little too fast. So you wouldn't do it that fast with kid. When it's above 4, that's when we need to be able to count. Even as adults, it's difficult for us to subitize amounts that are 5 or higher unless it's arranged in some way. So on the next screen here, again, an amount's going to appear for half a second, and we will see how well we are as adults with the amounts that get larger. So here it comes. Could you tell how many? I couldn't even tell how many, and I know how many are there. That was super fast. They're in a line. They're not arranged, right, in any way that is helpful. It's just items in a line, and that's what we need to move away from. Subitizing is super important because it helps our kids move from seeing individual items to seeing sets of items. And if we want to get our kids past the idea of having to count to solve problems, they have to be able to group and see sets of stuff. Okay, so I can see this as for individual things. I personally could make some groupings of this. I could chunk it and see 2 and 2. One of the powerful things that you can do, though, to help kids start to see the power of groupings is provide those groupings for them. Instead of giving 4 in a line, give them as a 3 and a 1, or a specific 2 and 2. Break it out, right? We want kids to be able to chunk and see the pieces within the whole. What can we be doing to help our kids build subitizing? Again, I'm a big fan of you got to provide them experiences. So what kind of experiences can you give your kiddos to build subitizing? Now, I'm a big fan of trying to flash it with them. Now, definitely don't do it as quickly as I just did it with you guys. Half a second is way too fast when kids are first starting out. So you might leave it up there for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Who knows? But you can create PowerPoints to do these flash activities, and there's a download associated with this video where I've taken, I make all of this on Keynote because I use a Mac, but you can make all of these on PowerPoint. That's what I'm using here is PowerPoint. So what I did was I took all of them that I've made, not all of them, but I gave you like a template to be able to make your own. You just copy and paste and you just animate it so it comes in and goes out at a certain length of time. So you don't even have to think about it. It's all animated for me. So you can download either the Keynote or PowerPoint. I think you'll get sent both, and then you just pick if you have a PowerPoint. If you've got a PC, you want PowerPoint. If you've got a Mac, you want Keynote, unless you've got PowerPoint on your Mac as well. But they're templates for you to download and then be able to make your own. And so here's just an example, again, to show you how I do it. This is just a slide, and I've animated this set to come in and then write out in half a second. And so you can program the computer to say how long you want it. You can also not do it with technology. And this is from Frogs and Cupcakes blog. And she just took paper plates, colorful paper plates, used those little round circle stickers and created dot patterns. Okay. This one is from the Elementary Math Maniac. These are just like 3x5 cards with what I call the little yard sale stickers, right, that I use to put on yard sale items. And the cool part about this is she's got those different colors, which helps kids see the groups within the whole. So she's really building that conceptual subitizing. So you don't have to do it on the computer. You can just do it with flashcards, basically. You're making subitizing flashcards for kids. Okay. My other favorite activity to do are number talks, or I used to call them number strings. So the big difference to me is that a number talk is technically when you're talking about one picture or one problem. A number string is when you have multiple problems or multiple pictures in a row and you're talking about how they relate. So I'm going to show you examples of each one. So we're going to start off with a string. I might start with this and just ask them how many are here. And there's not a whole lot to talk about there. And then I go here, and so how many are here, right? And as I'm going, I might go another one, and how many are here? And then I might stop and talk about, what do you notice? What's happening in our string today? Can anybody explain a pattern that they might see, right? And so I'm hoping that I'm using these visual images, the subitizing, to also bring in a big idea of one more, right? Each one is one more than the next. So I'm doing subitizing, but I'm also bringing in some number relationships. Now, a number talk is when I just put one image and we talk about how many are here, but how do you know how many are here? Because there's a whole lot of different ways that kids will see this, right? You might have one kid who moves one up to fill the 5 on top, and so they know it's 5 and one more. Another kid might not have moved anything, and so they saw some groups of what's actually there, and they saw 3 and 3. Another kid might have seen the 4 on the top and then the 2 on the bottom. So it's all up to the kid of how they're seeing it. Subitizing doesn't have to just be seen in one way. And doing a number talk allows kids to talk about the different ways that they're seeing it. When I do a string, I'm really not focusing on how they know that amount. I'm really wanting them to talk about the relationships they're seeing between the images that I'm showing. And in this, a number talk, I'm just wanting them to talk about how they are seeing that one image. What are the different ways that we can group with that one image? So again, you have a download that's associated with this. You will get Keynote and PowerPoint, and then you just choose which one works for your computer and then start making your own slides. If you don't want to go that route, just get some paper plates or a 3x5 card and a bingo marker. So get your bingo marker out and start making some subitizing flashcards. All right, so that's it for this week. Try it out and come back to this page and put your comments below. And as always, if you know a teacher who you think would really benefit from this, share this page with them, have them come join us on the challenge. Have a great week, and I can't wait to hear how subitizing goes in your classroom this week.